It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on Nigerian newspapers this morning. We've got a host of them here. Let's start off with The Nation. Now it says Makinde leads Southwest PDP on Ayu must go call. Now this has been a big issue for the main opposition party, and the Oyo State governor has been talking tough on this among those calling on the national chairman of the party, Iyorchia Ayu, to go. Now, Oyo State Governor also tells Atiku Abubakar, the party's flag bearer, who was in Ibadan on Wednesday, that the party must be restructured. But there is a response there from Mr. Atiku Abubakar saying chairman's exit must follow due process. That's on The Nation. Let's check out The Punch. And the PDP crisis is also reflected there as the big story. Now it says Atiku Wabara meet aggrieved governors. Makinde demands Ayu's exit. Finally, with me is Blueprint, still on the PDP crisis. The big story there says that Atiku has replied those calling for the Ayu removal, that removing the national chairman would require a constitutional amendment. Over now to Veronica.
All right, Kemi. And I begin with the First News newspaper, still talking about the PDP crisis. It says Ayu's fate hanging in the balance. As Makinde Atiku disagree on demands for party chairman's resignation, Ayu must step down to allow South replace him, be fully included. Oyo governor insists he can't go now unless PDP constitution is amended. That's the presidential candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, speaking there. And we move to this Nigerian newspaper, still looking at the PDP crisis. 2023, Ayu must step down, Makinde insists, gives Atiku conditions for PDP Southwest support. Why he won't go now, ex-VP Atiku Abubakar speaking there. And then we'll move to the Nigerian News Direct, still on the PDP crisis. Ayu's removal, possible, achievable, Atiku speaking. Says party's law must be amended to remove embattled chairman. Ayu's removal will facilitate proper restructuring, Makinde insists. All right, you find all of the details on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct and to the front page of the Daily Trust. This is focusing on the call for state police. ACF, NEF, Afenifere, Pandef back northern governors, monarchs. Call for state police, ACF, Iowa Consultative Forum, and then the Northern Elders Forum, Afenifere, Pandef, back Northern Governors, monarchs. You find that on the front page of the Daily Trust. And to the front page of the Leadership newspaper, 1995 Doba Hotel bombing. I can't talk until the U.S. Embassy speaks, accused ex-U.S. envoy says. I can't recall the incident. Mark D. Shehu is talking about. Kaduna ex-military governor General Jafaru Issa reacts. Police, DSS, U.S. Embassy keep mum. You find all of the details on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Kelly?
Well, Business Days next, it says negative real returns hurt Nigerian investors and savers. Negative real returns hurt Nigerian investors and savers. And away from the shores of Nigeria, we'll stay in the continent. Daily Nation in Kenya says cost of living, delicate balancing act to control spending and appease a weary public, and baptism by fire as Ruto faces fuel crisis. It was only sworn in yesterday, and of course there's already a fuel crisis we need to battle with. That's Daily Nation. And of course, away from the continent, Gulf News, Queen Elizabeth II lies in state in Westminster's Hall. King Charles, Princes William and Harry escort royal casket. And of course, well, the Daily Telegraph is also here. It stays, of course, with the Queen, and it says it's the nation's turn to say farewell, indeed. Well, that's Daily Telegraph.
And so there you have it. So the papers, how they're leaning on, of course, the big story here in Nigeria remains the countdown to the official start of campaigns ahead of the general election for next year, and the drama within the political parties. PDP still topping the list of parties having controversies at this time. Now we were seeing, okay, look at what happened yesterday. Atiku Abubakar, the party's flag bearer, came over for a crucial meeting in Oyo State. They call it the hub of Southwest politics, and Seyi Makinde has been talking tough on this matter, joining with those calling for the removal of Iyorchia Ayu, the national chairman. And now he says to Atiku, you are a unifier. We know you as a unifier. Your first task right now must be to unify the party. In the words of Bodejo, there is no Southwest PDP, or there is no Northwest or North PDP. We have one PDP, and as such, there is a fraction that needs to be mended.
Absolutely. What I think they're saying is practice what you preach, because Atiku Abubakar is someone who has been championing the cause of restructuring. And when you talk about restructuring, you talk about inclusion. And that is what they're saying, that what they have in the party is not representative of the kind of restructuring that you're speaking about. So start from home, as it is being said, charity begins at home. And like Wike had always said, we had an agreement. Like they have an agreement that, you know what, if a northerner emerges as the presidential candidate, then Ayu will step down. Why it is now difficult for this agreement to be reached? Now, Atiku has come out to say that it is possible. It's not as if it's impossible, but the constitution of the party has to be amended. What will it now take to have that constitution amended will be the next thing. Are they ready? Seeing that the campaigns will kick off in earnest anytime soon. Absolutely. So what will the party do? Will they go on as a divided house when we know that a divided house cannot stand, cannot achieve as much if it is unified? What will the party do moving forward is the challenge here from my point of view.
Absolutely. Well, Kelly, how does it seem to you now? Because as much as the calls for Iyorchia Ayu's removal, now we are seeing a fresh crop of voices coming out now saying that, calling on those voices now to be wary of the times, as Veronica has alluded to as well. You know, campaigns are here, are really upon us now, and so is it going to be a problem of timing now for the calls of Iyorchia Ayu to go now? There seems to be, two strong voices, though they are not speaking the same language at the moment.
Well, I'm not pretty sure exactly what the constitution of the PDP says, which Wike has held on to. I'm not sure at what point exactly, because the argument, for instance, is that the party's presidential flag bearer and the national chairman or should not come from a particular region or the same zone. But we are also not, we don't understand as well if the constitution says, should it be the party's flag bearer or the president and the national chairman? Because the arguments, for instance, from Atiku, the candidates of the PDP, is that, look, let's allow this election slide. If the PDP wins, Ayu would step down. That's his argument. So I'm not sure exactly what the Constitution says.
He has also agreed that the Constitution has to be amended from his statement yesterday.
That's Atiku
from his statement
absolutely.
yesterday, that the Constitution has to be, the party's Constitution has to be amended. But again, for Wike, they had an agreement, which he also, Atiku now, agreed to, that if he emerges, the person of Ayu will step down. That is what is Wike's argument.
But at what point too? Was it agreed at what point?
At what point? Who was there? Who were the witnesses?
Was supposed to step down? Look, when I look at politicians in this part of the world, I see a bunch of big wigs with egos, powers, influence. And so it doesn't matter what is at stake for a party which has been in opposition for the past almost 8 years, for a party that was in power for 16 years and prided itself as the biggest party in Africa, and yet the few of you who are still around or left cannot keep your egos and look at, oh, how can we come together? How can we wrestle power, for instance, from the main party, the APC. Yet, just a few weeks or a few days to the campaigns, and there's still a question. And I don't know. When I look at the main opposition party, my mind just, I wonder, for crying out loud, for how long would you guys not learn your lessons? If the APC was able to come together, regardless of the interests in 2014, was able to have alliances, coalition, one would expect that at this time, the PDP should even be at the forefront of asking or seeking such alliances and coalition. But instead, it appears it appears more like a house that is on a house of commotion, in fact.
All right.
Maybe I should say.
Well, there's so much to talk about on the PDP crisis and how best to resolve it. It's also instructive that, you know, as much as Southwestern leaders of the party are talking and insisting on their demands that Iyorchia Ayu go, there are also, you know, some, you know, leaders within the party that are asking that they suspend their clamor at the moment and unite for the collective bid to win elections, especially the presidential election. We'll wait and see how that pans out in the days ahead.